Parshas Bamidbar. This week's Parsha, among other things, talks about flags. Today, as I'm recording this, is Yom Yerushalayim, and one of the ways in which many people in Yerushalayim celebrate Yom Yerushalayim is with Rikud Hadagalim, with the dance of the flags. The flags are actually mentioned in this week's Parsha, not the same flags, but different flags. This is Perek Beis, Pasuk Beis, that's chapter 2, verse 2. Reads as follows. Ish al diglo, ba'osos leveis avosam yachanu b'nei Yisrael, mineged saviv lo amoid yachanu. The children of Israel shall encamp, each man by his banner, according to the insignias of their father's household. At a distance surrounding the tent of meeting shall they encamp. So their flags. What are the flags all about? So the Chumash goes on to say that there were basically, it describes the four encampments, the east, west, north, and south, and each one had a leading tribe, and each of those leading tribes had a flag. So according to this opinion, and this is an opinion that is shared by the Ibn Ezra and Rashi and the Abarbanel, that there were a total of 4 flags. Now, Rav Shimshon Flar Hirsch, based on other sources, says that each shevet, each tribe had a flag. That would be 12 flags, and the colors corresponded to the colors of that tribe as reflected by the stones on the choshen, on the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol. So each stone was of a different color and represented a different tribe, and the flags corresponded to that. The Targum Yonasan has kind of an in-between, which is that there were indeed four flags, as is pretty obvious from the Chumash that there were 4 flags. There may have been more, but it talks about the 4 flags and the 4 tribes that led each encampment. Each encampment was 3 tribes, and one tribe had the flag. And Targum Yonasan says that each flag had 3 colors, corresponding to the 3 tribes, the colors of the 3 tribes that were on each encampment. So there are several flags, maybe 4, maybe more. And in fact, there may have been more than that, because the Pasuk says not only for each tribe, but it says ba'osos leveis avosam, with insignias for their father's households. Now, some say that this simply means that how did you know where you encamp? The flags were in use, to the best of my knowledge, only when the children of Israel were traveling in the desert. And it was manifest that the purpose, or at least the primary purpose of the flags, was to mark the area and the territory and the tribe. So the tribe would carry its flag and would stake the flag in one place, so then everybody who belonged to that flag, to those tribes represented by that flag, would encamp there. So they're principally a tool for organizing the children of Israel as they camped. The insignias are informative. First of all, we have colors that represent the different shvatim, the different tribes. And then there are different insignias, according to some opinions. There are different insignias for each of the tribes and each of the Beis Avos, each of the families within the tribes. Some say that Beis Avos, to the house of the fathers, just means how do you know which tribe you belong to? Let's say your mother's from one tribe and your father's from another, so you follow the father's tribe. That's the rule of tribal affiliation. The rule of religious affiliation, that is determining whether somebody has Kedushas Yisrael or not, whether somebody is born a Jew, depends on whether that person's mother is Jewish. If that person's mother is Jewish, the child is Jewish. If the person's mother is not Jewish, the child is not Jewish. The tribal affiliation, however, goes through the father. Okay, so that's according to one opinion. That's what ba'osos leveis avosam, according to the insignia of the father's households, meaning your tribal affiliation depends on the house of your father. There are others, however, who suggest that the flags themselves differed, and that there were many flags, not only for the shvatim, but actually for the Beis Avos, for each of the families. They had different insignia. They may have had the initials of the household, etc. Now, what's this all about? Well, some even go so far as to say that each flag of each tribe had a different emblem, and that emblem reflected either the principal character trait or the goal of that tribe. So you have emblems representing strength. You have emblems representing commerce. You have emblems representing, according to Rabbi Bachaya, who goes at some great length, that represent different tchunos, different character traits and capabilities, talents, if you will. So it turns out that according to this explanation of Rabbeinu Bachaya, and actually according to any explanation, there's a distinction. Among the flags, and that distinction is attributable to the character of the tribe, and perhaps even the character of the subgroups within the tribe. So this reminds us a bit of the Gemara in Sanhedrin, which says that every individual is different, and every individual has unique attributes. The Gemara says, "B'kol, b'deo, b'mara," people differ in the sound of their voice, in their appearance, and principally in the way they think. So you have many different opinions. You have two Jews, three opinions. That's the mathematically sound observation of the observers. So the differences among people, the Gemara says, is not a defect, but it is God's glory that He started with one original man, that is Adam Rishon, and there are billions of variations among those people. Why? So we've mentioned in the past, Ruth Rabbah says that's because each individual, every single human being, has a different mission to perform in this world. Well, it turns out that it's not only individuals who have a different mission, but it's even social groupings, tribes, families. Now listen to this. This is a Medrash, Rabbah, Ruth Rabbah. It's from Ruth. We'll be reading Ruth on Shavuos. And Ruth Rabbah in Beis Ches, that's 2:8, reads as follows. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishur Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadok. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadok, Gilin v'Gilin. That's age cohorts. According to some, it means people who share a constellation, or we'll call it a zodiac sign. But there's a cohort determined by birth, by the time of year, or by the age. Chavuros, different groupings, social groupings. Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'olam. The Almighty, blessed be He, brings these groupings into the world. In other words, your affiliations, even your social affiliations, are not happenstance or coincidental. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings social groupings together. Here's the scary part. Meis echad min hagil, yidag kol hagil. One of the age cohort dies. Everybody from that age cohort should worry. Chaver echad min hachabura. One member of the social grouping dies. Tidak kol chabura, the entire chabura should, the entire social group should be wary. We'll explain this, or at least we'll attempt to in a moment. The Amar Reb Shmuel bar Abba b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Reb Shmuel bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, archios hein. They are different according to the Meforshei Medrash. It means they're different medshalos. They're different authorities. Each one has a different authority. The ein echad mehen nichnas letoch archi shachavera afil kum lo nima, and no one of them crosses into the authority of the other, even at a hair's breadth. What I believe this means is that all of our groupings, social groupings, and we each have many, many, many different social groupings. We each have an authority. In other words, we each have a mission. Each social grouping has a mission. Each individual, each social grouping, each family, each tribe. And we need to figure out what that mission is in order that we can best fulfill Ritzon HaBorei. We can best fulfill the will of God. What does it mean if one dies, then the rest should worry? Well, it's cited in halacha that a person should, if somebody in a person's grouping passes away, then we should get a little bit concerned about our own mortality, because if we share similar characteristics, we may share the same fate. There are others who say, however, that because the social grouping has a mission, then meis echad min chabura, if somebody from that mission, from that group, passes away, then the rest of the group has to make sure that the mission continues despite the absence of one of its members, maybe even an important member. It could be a person who was a leader, in which case somebody else has to step up and fill that role. The notion at the end of all of this is that there are multiple concentric circles, if you will. There are many different groupings. We start with the individual, and it expands to the family, a couple, a family, a community, perhaps a social group at a gathering of like-minded people in a shul, in a group, in a chesed organization, in a political organization, etc. These are all capable of fulfilling a divine mission, and it appears that it's incumbent upon us to figure out what our strengths are and how we best fill that role and fulfill that mission. And if somebody leaves that group, we cannot allow, says according to this reading of the Medrash, we can't allow the group's intensity to diminish, but rather Yidad Kol Chabura, that all the members of the social group should be concerned and should pay attention to how do we replace the person, or at least fill the void that is left by that person, so that we can continue with full force and vigor to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to serve God through not only our own individual service, whether that's acts of prayer or kindness or Torah study, but also expanding that on a social level. And this can also give us a bit of an insight into the different groupings, I believe, within our community generally. We have different groupings. Sometimes it leads to friction because people have different, or the groups have different goals. But if we look at it as though we are all encamped around the Shekhinah, around the Mishkan, we're all encamped around the central galvanizing force of the Almighty's presence on this world, then although we each have different colors, if you will, some of us may be focused on Torah learning, some of us may be focused on Eretz Yisrael, some of us may be focused on politics, some of us may be focused on Mashiach, some of us may be focused on all manner of chesed and taking care of others. They're all good. Not that everything about everything is all good. People do err, people do make mistakes, but it's a good thing that there are different groupings with different goals so that they can all come together and encamp around the Shekhinah, in the divine presence in the center, so that as a collective, we can best serve the Almighty. Have a good Shabbos.